Have you ever been drunk or high and came up with this truly amazing idea but then became sober and realized it wasn't as amazing as you thought it was? If so, what was the idea? A friend of mine called me around 3 o'clock in the morning about a fantastic, groundbreaking idea he had for getting sunburn on your feet. He wears Crocs a lot, so I was actually kinda interested. Okay. So, like, cloth or something you can put on your feet that would keep you from getting sunburn from the holes. Socks. He was describing socks. While smoking with some friends, I came up with an idea for a restaurant. I called it Pound Town. The idea was that all of our specials would be centered around a pound, like 16-ounce steaks and things like that. Our signature desserts would incorporate pound cake. You get the idea. I even had an idea for the commercial. It would start off with a kid in his late teens walking up and knocking on someone's front door. He suddenly stiffens up when an older man opens the door. Hi. I'm here to pick up Jenny, you must be Zach, he says somewhat sternly. Jenny's still getting ready. Come inside. She'll just be another minute. They both sit down in the living room and an awkward silence falls between them as the father eyes the young man suspiciously. So, the father says, "Where exactly are you planning on taking my daughter tonight?" The kid cracks a sly smile as he says, "I'm taking her to Pound Town." The father ridiculously nods in approval as the advertisement kicks off, showing the food and announcing the specials. To have a fast food spot that sold frozen meals already cooked. Like you can order a heated up hot pocket, toaster strudel, chicken pot pie, etc. Turn signals on grocery carts. I made a soup sandwich while really high before. The soup obviously just destroyed the bread's integrity and just fell out the sandwich. That was the first time in my life I realized just how dumb I am. Okay, hear me out. Go to your local bar and get plastered. Then go to LensCrafters and get your eyes checked. They will fix your double and blurry vision and give you a pair of glasses. So when you get drunk again you can put on your, wait for it, drunk goggles. I thought it would be practical if you would have a tag with your address written on it attached to your keys, so if you ever lost them they can be sent back. Seemed brilliant to me. Thieves might enjoy this idea as well. Once, while thoroughly drunk, I ordered a pizza and it arrived overcooked. Crust was like dried asphalt and the toppings blackened and singed. So I pitched the idea to my other drunk buddies that pizza places should let their customers control the pizza ovens through the internet, so we can decide when it's done. Which then lead to an entire design your own pizza machine website combo, where one could control exactly how much of each ingredient to add using robotic arms and you could watch it cook live through an oven cam. I was on acid and had a revelation that I had to make the next Google. I have no idea what it means to be the next Google, but regardless it felt like the best idea in the world. The feeling of checking my notes app the next day for the grand idea I had and seeing be the next Google was hilarious. Beer rocks. When drinking at an outdoor place, using plastic cups, you put fancy rocks in your beer so the cups don't blow over. Genius. I was thinking that kids these days need more time on the road to be better drivers, so maybe Uber should partner with driving education groups and like subsidize them or pay the kids in college bonds or whatever. Yeah, maybe hiring a bunch of terrible drivers for your taxi services isn't such a great idea. Once while high my friends came up with an online call center for people who have anxiety while high to call. It was named TripAdvisor. I thought of something that I thought was the funniest sit. A video or comic where one guy takes a pepper packet, opens it, and pours it into his eyes. When his friend starts freaking out, he goes, "Haha, tricked you, it's actually salt." One time when I was tripping I wrote down this whole page of numbers and swore it was the answer. The answer to what I don't know, lol. I just kept saying it's all about the digits. I had this idea that the Taken films should each focus on a different set of skills. Like Liam Neeson could be an amazing chef in Taken 2, and perhaps a postman in Taken 3. Yep. Pre-melted cheese. Edit. Okay, I feel the need to clarify as people are saying nacho cheese or Velveeta or cheese whiz. I was so baked. My idea was pre-melted cheese, like a boil in the bag rice, but for cheese, like a block of cheddar cheese, in a sandwich bag and boiled till molten, and then it stayed molten, like didn't solidify and I could just pour it on stuff. Like I was so high, I literally forgot all the aforementioned products existed, and though I was going to be a reffing millionaire, then started to talk with my friends about where I should live, be it LA or New York, in a penthouse suite, and have a butler and maids and sit. Then I came to after passing out at some point, and I remember the entire conversation and think holy effing god, I am a reffing moron. Usually I make big plans that cost a lot of money and then promise sober people that we will do them. So they start to look forward to the plans. I sober up and regret all of my decisions yet still have to follow through. Most recent was that I promised my sister that I'd bring my daughter to visit her in Florida. $2,000 later, I have a sunburn. A food truck specializing in egg rolls the size of burritos. While taking what I thought was acid and turned out to be a 25 boom, I was beyond confident that I had not only finally understand the truest deepest secret of the universe, but that I had distilled the idea into an image that could be drawn out. I was certain that with that image I could remember everything about the true universal secrets when I came down. The next day I looked at the paper, and it was a line with a circle on each end, like a dumbbell. I have no idea what it means. I have a running note on my phone with my ideas I have while intoxicated. I think my best one is, what if there was a Queer Eye spin-off called Third Eye, where hippies and conspiracy theorists try to awaken people who are already happy with their lives. Most of them are just done with such highlights as future math will be cool and there's a lot of cute animal behavior. One of my philosophy professors told a joke about a philosopher having a dream in which he met Socrates, but quickly saw the proper rebuttal to his views, which Socrates conceded. Then he met Aristotle, and Descartes, and Kant, and Nietzsche, and Mill, and with each of them presented his contrary position successfully. He knew he was dreaming, but he thought I have to wake up enough to write this down. He managed to become conscious enough that he quickly scrawled the words down on some paper, then fell asleep again. The next morning he woke up, remembered what had happened, and excitedly grabbed the note. It read, "Yeah, that's what you say." One time I woke up in the middle of the night with an idea. A revolutionary idea. Something I needed to write down as fast as possible so I wouldn't forget. So I wrote it down and went back to sleep. I woke up, looked at the piece of paper, and all it said was Pennzoil mini wheats. I've never quite figured out what I was thinking. My friend is a lawyer and when he was in law school did a summer internship to Ghana studying international law. We were like 2 blunts deep and he came up with the brilliant idea to make chairs in Ghana because everyone he saw there was just sitting on the ground. He was convinced we could have made a fortune selling chairs. I ran upstairs and yelled at my husband, "Why don't they make mittens for feet?" And he said, "You mean socks?" And I said, "Oh yeah, socks." Not me but Paul McCartney. The first time he got high he apparently discovered the meaning of life and immediately went to write it down. When he woke up the next morning he looked at the paper and it said there are 7 levels. As teenagers, my friend and I used to get really stoned and go sit in this particular diner for hours and drink coffee until we sobered up. One time 2 cops in uniform came in and sat down a few tables away and ordered some food. At first we were kind of paranoid, but they didn't seem to be paying us any attention. My friend was the type of guy who liked to do wacky shit just to be funny, especially on a dare. He was also a big proponent of marijuana legalization. He talked about it all the time. I told him I thought it would be hilarious to go up and ask the cops their thoughts on marijuana legalization. We were both still pretty baked and he thought it was a funny idea too. So on a whim he decided to do it. He took off his jacket and set it on the bench next to him and walked calmly over to their table and began talking with them. I couldn't hear what they were saying but the conversation appeared to be polite and lasted a minute or 2. He came back to the table with a big stoned grin on his face. "Oh man, those cops seem okay to me." They both said they think weed should be legal and it's a waste of their time to go after pot smokers. A little while later the cops finished their food and left. One of them even smiled and nodded to my friend on the way out. We watched them get into their patrol car and drive out of the parking lot. We stayed for about another half hour and then left to catch the bus home. We got to the bus stop and just as we both lit up a cigarette, a cop car pulled up with the same two cops inside. They had been sitting in the parking lot next door with their lights off waiting for us to come out of the diner. We obviously weren't old enough to be smoking cigarettes, and a check of our IDs confirmed that. They searched both of us and found a 5-sack of weed and a pipe in my friend's jacket. We both got tickets for underage smoking. He got cited for the pipe and marijuana, was given a court date, and taken home to his parents in the back of a police car. Running for my local school board. I had a lot of issues with the way the education works in our country and believed the best way to fix the system was by running an honest campaign and promising to fight for the change that would help kids learn better. Ultimately, I sobered up and realized at the time, unemployed, stoned 24-year-old with no kids was not the best candidate. Whilst high, I came up with the idea of making pens with white ink that would cover up any mistakes on white paper. Realized not only that it had been done already but that I had one in my backpack next to where I keep the pen I used to write down the idea. When I did shrooms, I came up with the absolutely genius idea that NASA should employ young children and send them to space for missions because they have more natural curiosity and aren't jaded yet by adulthood, and they might notice things that a more experienced astronaut would miss because they'll look from a different perspective. I was convinced I needed to email NASA right away and tell them about my brilliant epiphany. Edit. Apparently I really need to watch Space Camp and the Astronauts and read the Ender's Game series. I appreciate all the kind comments and awards. I had this idea for a movie in a similar vein of Cabin in the Woods, where these people move into a haunted house, except the plot is from the antagonist's perspective, where the ghosts haunting the house treat it like a job and have interviews in front of a camera, reality show style, venting about how tedious the little aspects of the job are. The premise was this ghost had reluctantly picked up and followed this family to this new house in order to keep haunting them, and inadvertently stepped on another ghost's jurisdiction, and they'd bicker about who haunts who. Antics ensue. I realize now that this is more or less just what we do in the shadows. Damn you, Taker. Edit. Alright guys, I'm trying to make it as a musician, and have made decent progress so far. And when I do, I'll go the Atlanta or Dave route and bring this up in a hopefully eventual pitch meeting. Thanks for your encouragement y'all, and please don't steal my idea, maybe? Give me 5 years. A thing you put on the laptop charger thing that gets hot which keeps your cheese dip hot. I got high one time and thought of a great business idea where everyone pays money to pot and one person wins it all. Turns out the lottery already exists. My notes app is full of liquor weed soaked epiphanies and revelations from my younger years. My favorite reads, any boy that has the pineapple is a good boy. Always felt free throws in basketball slowed the game down too much. Felt instead they should have dunks instead, where the player that was fouled has a running start from the 3-point line and the one who committed the foul is at the basket defending against the dunk. I suppose this could turn into an endless loop of fouling. Myself and 2 friends were extremely high and extremely hungry. We put all our money together and said that we would buy the most amount of food for the amount of money we had gathered. We had a total of £16. So our thought process was we could order 16 portions of chips, French fries for you Americans. We had to call the takeaway 3 times before they would believe that it wasn't a prank. We convinced them we were throwing a party. The takeaway finally delivered it and myself and my other friend were too high to go to the door, so we made friend 3 go by himself. All of the lights were off and there was no music playing, so the delivery driver delivered 16 portions of chips to one man alone from his perspective. Needless to say, 16 portions of chips is too much food between 3 people. The TV show Cheaters, except with stray cats. Candid cameras catching cats being unfaithful with other neighborhood cats and a human host interviewing the cats getting cheated on, just like the TV show. Still kinda want this to be a thing in a sober mindset. Imagine Discord online voice chat. My idea was that you could create subrooms within the current channel. My thought process was, I want to have a conversation with one person but still want to kinda hear what my other friends are conversing about with other people in the channel, but I don't want their conversation to interrupt my conversation and vice versa. So my thinking was that you join like a sub-channel where everyone in that sub-channel is at 100% volume and everyone else in the parent channel is at like 30% volume. So you could all be in the same parent channel but not really be a hindrance to one another, but you could still sorta hear them if you wanted to. It seems like a good idea if you're high, but then you realize it's just kinda pointless lol. I thought I was onto a massive breakthrough. Edit. Well, this went mental. The people have spoken. Discord. Make it happen. Thanks everyone. I was high. I made some killer mac and cheese and I saw that I had some bacon. So I cooked up the bacon and cut it into small pieces and put it on the mac and cheese. It was so goddamn heavenly that I forgot bacon bits on mac and cheese already existed. In my fit of excitement I texted my friend my totally brand new never done before creation, and I was told that it already existed. My niece drunk texted me and went on and on about her idea for party popper tampons. She wanted to make tampons that shot out string and confetti when you pulled the string. It was all something about women celebrating their freedom and vaginas. It was a very confusing 2 AM series of texts when she was just supposed to let me know she made it home safe from her night out. Once I tripped on shrooms and thought of this amazing song, like truly amazing beat and lyrics. I tried recording it on my phone, so I didn't forget. Then next day I went to check my phone. Turns out I tripped so hard that I imagined that I recorded it on my phone, but in reality my phone was turned off the whole time. Till this day I can't remember that tune. But for sure it would have been a Billboard hit. I know this isn't what you were asking, but it was the only situation I could relate to. My wife and I got this genius idea after smoking a fatty to create the next big hit in the snack world. Cup crepes, a cupcake made from mini grapes stacked on top of one another, topped with whipped cream and strawberries. When I was in high school, after a lengthy hotbox one evening, I came up with the reverse candle, which would consume carbon dioxide and produce oxygen while also providing shade. Everyone truly thought it was a good idea, so we wrote it out on paper so we wouldn't forget. Later, the next day I had realized we invented trees. Here's a good one from my list of high ideas: dumpsters, trash cans, and dives. Live a stream dumpster diving like American Picker Storage Wars, but completely bullshit pricing guesses with fake accents. My grand idea was to put caramelized onions in my hamburger helper. Yeah, it was good but not as mind-blowing as I thought it would be when I was high as a kite. I don't drink or smoke, but a friend of mine was drunk and picked up a guitar, started playing, and thought he wrote the song Walk by Pantera. I thought of an incredible idea for a story when someone wakes up in a hotel and everyone knows the protagonist, but the protagonist has no memory and doesn't remember anyone. Then I sobered up and discovered that it is a boring premise with nowhere to go. Banana rental. I thought people would love to rent bananas to display on their counters and or coffee tables. I was absolutely certain I had just hit on an idea that would let me retire early. Manly scented candles. Smells like wood shop and a storm instead of roses and potpourri. We even thought of a name. Mandels, the manly candle. Then we went to register the website. Not only did someone have the same idea, they already had mandels.com and most of the scents we had brainstormed. I actually maintained a list of all our genius ideas. I should go look it up. A pot or bowl with holes in it so that you didn't have to use a wire mesh strainer to strain spaghetti. I had drawings and everything. People around me were like, shit, this thing is going to make millions next day. Dude, that's a calendar.